us off.
Well, hi, good morning, everyone. I'm glad everybody could join us this morning. Take some time out of your morning and gain some knowledge about what Steve and Shannon are going to be sharing with all of you today. And some of you have met me, some of you may not have. I'm your Dayton account manager. I also cover some of the Cincinnati area for the agents down there. And so Shannon Landers, of course, is our Vice President of Sales and Marketing for WOW. And then Steve Musser is Director of Social Media and Marketing. So they're the ones that's going to be leading this more so than I, but I will put my information in the chat box so you all have that. So
great.
Go ahead, Shannon.
Thanks, Cheryl, so much. We are super excited about this. We had 2 of these webinars yesterday and they went great. We had a ton of great questions. You know, this is a really broad topic to go over. But our goal is to give you just some great knowledge today to talk about, you know, just how important it is to brand yourself all the time, but especially right now, and you know, how important your digital footprint is. So we're just really excited to, you know, give this to you and give more of these to you. So, you know, this is kind of just step 1 of today, and then we can get into what other topics you guys are, you know, looking for and how we can just help, not only, and a lot of you guys are our current customers, which, you know, is awesome, and we thank you for your business, but so how else can we help you and what else can we do for you? So we're really excited. So I'll send it off to Steve.
Well, welcome everyone. Like Shannon and Cheryl said, we're glad that you guys joined us and took time out of your day. We'll make sure we make this as useful as possible. And just to kind of recap, I know we were kind of addressing people as they came in, but if anybody has questions, everybody is muted. We can't see anybody. So if you have questions, feel free to put it out in the Q&A or the chat, and we'll make sure we address those as we move from slide to slide. And so with that, we'll kind of get going and make sure we make the best use out of your time. So we wanted to start off, you know, this has been talked about for several years now, but even more so today, you know, the type of engagement's key to anything. So whether, you know, it's ads out there or organic content, no matter what, you want the most engagement possible. And so looking at this, we have a unique perspective because we actually manage social media for a lot of agents. And so we get to kind of pull in the numbers and see what works and what doesn't, what to adjust and different things like that. So this chart kind of shows the breakdown of the different types of posts, and the blue bars represent their reach. So the amount of people that basically the amount of times it's placed out there in a news feed for someone to see. And then the red bar is the engagement. So, you know, reach is something that's talked about a lot, but at the end of the day, engagement's what's going to benefit you most. And so your goal is always to really crank up that engagement and maximize that as much as possible. Going through these different types, you know, the status update, I know it's not too common that people do that on a business page, but it is done. And so you have some reach out there, but almost no engagement. So as you work your way up with shared video, link, photo, things like that, still the king of content is video. So when you use a video, and when I say video, it's actually a video that lives on Facebook, so, or Instagram or whatever platform you're using. But when you upload a video to Facebook, not just a link to a video, that is where you're going to maximize that engagement and make sure as many people, you know, will see it, of course, but also engage, whether it's commenting, liking, sharing, because the more engagement you get behind a post, the next post is going to get higher probability of getting in front of more people and more engagement. And so it's just a momentum builder. The more you do this, the more success you're going to see. And it's just something that I thought was a unique perspective that we could kind of take a look at with those numbers. And Shannon, yeah, I know you had some stats there that we talked about yesterday that were really interesting.
Yes, one of my favorite things to do, which sounds a little crazy, is read the 160-some page NAR report that comes out every year, the profile of home buyers and sellers. But there's some great statistics to really dive into in that report that helps kind of feed into what you should do in your business. And one that really stood out to me is that 79% of buyers find virtual tours useful in their home searches. So when we kind of think about what we're putting out there on social media, again, video, again, it's king, and I think they've even upped that to the emperor. So, putting out that video to get engagement is absolutely important. Reach is good, but engagement is really what helps flow to your business, because what you guys want is customers, right? At the end of the day, is how do you get the customers? And so continuing to push out the video and being able to, upload it is what's important.
Absolutely. And it kind of ties into everything we're talking about today, obviously. So we're going to hit up a little bit on listings and maybe some best practices to kind of optimize those. But then we're really going to focus on content, organic content, but it's kind of applies to your ads as well. So we'll throw some of that out there for you. With that being said, kind of jumping into the side of a listing. So obviously listing, this is anytime you post a listing, your goal is to get as many people as possible into that funnel or that pool that you're doing. So that way you can hopefully turn that into leads and then eventually sales. So with a listing, this is an example of something in our local market. So it's not a real post, but it's a mock-up of one that we kind of put together to show what we see a lot out there. So when you're looking at this, first thing you notice is it's very wordy. There's a lot of copy. There's a lot of description in there. So it goes through, all the features of a house. In this example, they took a link and pasted it into Facebook, and then it generates this automatic preview at the bottom that you're seeing from the realtor's page. And all the information there, you could see just about anything you'd ever want to know about the house, the square footage, the price, the bedrooms, the area. And there's a risk to doing that. What you're going to be doing is you're giving people more outs, because naturally people are going to find ways to self-disqualify themselves when they're looking at something. So let's say, they're looking for a home, but maybe they're looking for a minimum square footage, or, a certain school district, or, a certain number of bedrooms, things like that. So when you do that, and you put so much information out there, you're basically giving them more avenues to kind of check those boxes. And if it doesn't meet what they're looking for, they're just going to back out. Really, you want to bring them in and kind of engage them into some kind of call to action. So whether that's a call to you, or clicking your website, or a lead capture page, you want them to take that next step, so that way you're more likely to convert that person. Even if that's not the right listing, you're still the right realtor. So you want to bring them in and start that conversation with them. So this is kind of a before example. A way to kind of twist this to work to your advantage would be something like this. So this is an example on Facebook, of course, but I always suggest, take the top one, maybe two features of the property and put that in your copy or your description with that post, because you want to sell the best features of the house and get them excited about it, get them engaged to where they're going to take that next step, whether it is a phone call, website visit, whatever it is. And then, like I said, if it's still not the right listing for them, at least you've got them more invested in you, and you have more of an opportunity to turn that into a lead or a sale at that point. So this example, very short and sweet copy that goes along with it. So focusing on, the top in this example, it's the school district. It's a very high demand school district local to our home office here. So they focused on this, mentioned that it's a remodeled home, because that's always exciting, gets people interested. And then, of course, video. We just talked about video is king. So if you have the ability to put video in your post, and not a link to video, but actually uploading it to Facebook or whatever platform you're using, you're naturally going to get more eyes on that post, and it's going to lead to more engagement and starting that funnel off the right way. Something to address about this, because I know going to several different classes, seminars, things like that, especially in real estate, it's one thing that people are afraid to put a link in a description, because it's always been told, if you put a link in a description, you're going to get less people to see it. And that could be true. It is true according to the algorithm, so don't get me wrong. But whenever you do a post, think about what your ultimate goal is. So if it's brand awareness and you're wanting to get a post out to as many people as can see it as possible, then maybe you want to put no link in that description so you get 500 sets of eyes on that post. If it's just something to promote yourself in the community or something along those lines. When you're targeting down to a listing, you want to look at the end result. So, is it more important that 500 people see it, or is it more important that the right 100 people see it and there's 5 link clicks and there's 2 leads from it? So keep that in mind. Don't get caught up in that number game, because the algorithm is mathematical. It's going to lower that reach with a link in the description, but try to A/B test it a little bit, and I think you'll be surprised with the results. If you have an easy call to action, you're actually probably going to get more people coming through than you would otherwise. So something to think about there. It's something that's came up quite a bit. I always like to kind of discuss a little bit more.
Yeah, and remember, in all your posts, really the majority of your posts, you should always have some sort of call to action. You should always be telling your people what to do next, right? It's just like in sales. We're always telling our clients, what are the next steps, or our prospects, what are the next steps in the process. So having some sort of call to action is really important. And this is where we can kind of talk about the boost versus ads. So Steve, if you want to go ahead and move into that.
Yeah, we had a good question before we got started here from Anthony. It just was, do you recommend using Facebook Boost? So it's a good question. And honestly, it's probably a lot different answer than we would have had this time last year because of a lot of the changes that happened. But again, it kind of comes down to what your ultimate goal is for that ad or that boost in general. So the difference between the two, if you don't know, is Facebook gives you an option to boost an existing post that you have on your timeline. And then the other option is you can create an ad through Ad Manager that is very different because it lets you customize more. So with a Facebook Boost, you're essentially taking an existing post and getting it in front of your desired audience. And if you don't know, the audience has changed a lot too since August of last year. It used to be you could target down to income, down to home buyers, things like that. You really had a lot of options. Well, Facebook changed that last year to where they kind of stripped those options away, because anything that could be considered discriminatory, Facebook got in hot water. So they did the easy choice. Instead of leaving it up to Facebook users to dictate what they're advertising, they just pulled that away for special categories. So that's housing, employment, and credit. So obviously anything housing is part of that group. So when you're posting an ad for any kind of listing, your options now, first of all, if you don't know, you want to select special ad category so it identifies it in that target, in that grouping. And then it limits what your demographics and your location is. So instead of going down to the zip code like you used to be able to do, now you can do it by a minimum of a 15-mile radius. And it's taken away a lot of those demographics that would have been like age, gender, different things like that too. So it's changed the outlook between the argument between boost and ads a little bit. But think of it this way: if you have an existing post that you want to get out to a certain audience, then boost can work for you in that respect. If you're wanting to dig deeper into the ads and customize it more, so we all use Facebook. As you're scrolling through, when you see these ads that are very in depth, or they have the call to action buttons with them, things like that, those are created through Ad Manager because you can customize that content a lot more. And you can dig deeper into like custom audiences. So if you're retargeting at that point, you won't want to boost per se. You'll want to do that through Ad Manager. So a short answer is yes, there is a reason behind Facebook Boost, or a use behind it. That would be probably more your brand awareness when you're just trying to get something out to a larger group. Whereas Ad Manager would probably be the route I would go for anything more targeted, or your ad funnel at that point. So hopefully, Anthony, that answers your question.
Yeah, please let us know if you want some more details on that. And to be honest, that could be a whole topic by itself. is just Facebook ads and boosts versus, it's very intricate really when you get kind of to it, and what to be doing and a plan and to get to retargeting and all of those things. I know Jill Ferguson's on the call with us, and she's dived deep down into this, and she could probably throw some stuff in the chat on how she's dived down into Facebook ads and doing different things. So did we have another question come in or no?
It was just a follow-up to that question.
Yeah, okay, perfect, great.
And
Awesome.
as Shannon said, yeah, if there's a demand out there, if you guys want to know more about that and we can help out, we can do follow-up webinars specifically on these other topics. So if there's something that comes up that you really want to know more about that we're not covering in as much detail today, throw it out in the chat, and we'll use that information to get another webinar set up for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then this is just to kind of show, in case you don't know the difference between video on Facebook and video links, the image here, when you go into your Facebook page manager and you go to type a status, instead of copying and pasting a link into that, it takes them to a video. Click the photo video button, and then it uploads that video to Facebook, so it lives on Facebook. And that's how you get more engagement, because it will autoplay in the timeline or the news feed, and it will also get priority to the algorithm on Facebook. So just wanted to show that as well. But I think this is one of the most useful things to keep in mind. So this visual, keep it in your mind at all times when you're doing anything content related. This is a great tool that I always think of. Basically, this is your kind of your reverse funnel in a sense. But when you're looking at this, at any given time, they say 3% of people are active in the purchase process. So whether they're an active buyer or seller. So that 3% of people is really who, and maybe the top 10, because the other 7 have the intention of doing something along those lines. Those top 10 are really who your listings are going after, because those are the people that have already consciously made a decision that they're looking to buy, they're looking to sell. And so that is really your audience for those. The other 90%, how are you capturing those, and how are you keeping those involved in your page and engaging with you? Because as you work your way up from the bottom, 30% are not interested in your company at all. So, examples of this could be they have no intentions of ever owning a home. They have a cousin that's a realtor. They have no intentions of moving away from, things like that. And as you move up, they're more likely to have a need now or in the future. But that 90%, they're not at that decision point. So you posting listings is A, not going to attract them to your page, and B, if they are already following your page, so maybe like a home buyer that bought 6 months ago that's pretty rooted in their house now, they're not the ones that are going to get any kind of appeal from your listing. So you need content out there that's going to keep them coming to you and staying with you. And as they move up this funnel or this pyramid and they get to that top 10%, then you're the person they think of. Mm-hmm. So, it may be a year from now, 5 years from now, you don't know, but you have to get them involved and following your page. Otherwise, you're kind of talking to an audience that has no interest in what you're talking about. So that's kind of what we're going to talk a little bit about with the content today. But I think that's a huge visual is, think of that 90% for everything you do. Is this something that would interest somebody in that 90%? And focus on that whenever you're doing your posting.
Yeah, it's your digital farming, guys. Really it's take those theory, all the stuff you've done in farming over the years, or, if you're newer to the business, what you've been told, that those tips and tricks that still work in real estate, right? 40% of what you guys do in real estate is the same that was done 40 years ago. So the farming, working your SOI, all of those things still work, but now you're able to farm a larger group of people all at once for a lot less dollars and cents, and really work those people up to, when they're ready to make it, make a move, or sell it. and you've got them right there. So it's that top of mind, right? Like being top of mind. And this takes time, and you have to, it's not a one-time thing, just like your mailers aren't a one-time thing. So it's just a part of your business that needs to be there and needs to be consistent, right? Consistent is that key word in real estate. So if Connie and Deanna are on here, we've heard this from somebody that we know, but it's so true. Consistency is so hard, and not just in real estate, it's a sales thing, period. So we need to definitely, focus on this is just that piece of the business, your digital platform that you've got to do to bring people into the funnel. It's really that referral part of your business that just grows on social, and you can bring people in on that referral piece of your business. So Craig has a question here. What other social platforms realtors should start considering to use? Okay, other than Facebook and Instagram for prospecting. So
so that's a good question.
Yeah.
The question was basically what other platforms should realtors use to prospect other than Facebook and Instagram. So, one thing that I would focus on, and we talked about this a lot yesterday, is really drilling down to whatever you're focusing on for social media platforms. Make sure you're great at it and you're consistent at it. So, if you're doing 7 different platforms, but you're not consistent with either one of them, it's really not doing you any good. So, I would choose 1, 2, maybe 3 that you could really target and stay consistently involved in. And then that way that gets the job done, and it's not, half here, half there. But to answer that question, so Facebook and Instagram are obviously good. Those are the 2 popular ones. One for realtors, I think that's overlooked a lot is LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it, and especially when you get into ads, so this is a little bit more in depth, but LinkedIn's still kind of the Wild West with ads because there's not as much regulation behind it. They haven't been hit like Facebook was with those lawsuits and things along those lines. And there's no other platform where people go on specifically to update what they're doing in their life as far as a professional sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're targeting people that are moving to the area to work for, a big company like P&G or a hospital or something along those lines, you can get them easier on LinkedIn than you could on Facebook. And so that's one I think that's really useful for that. And it's a professional network. It's changed a little bit. It's become a little bit more relaxed, but it's still based around a professional network. So that's one that I'm really interested in. And then obviously you have others that kind of stretch that line. So like YouTube, is kind of crossover between, search engine that we talked about. It's the number 2 search engine behind Google. So it's a video library, of course, but it does have that social aspect. So that's another one that you could use. I would just develop a plan to where you can try to be creative with content. So, a good example would be, posting a long video. Maybe you have an interview or something along those lines. Doing a 60-minute video on Facebook is not going to perform the best. But if you put that 60-minute video on YouTube, it could, and then you could take snippets out to use on Instagram and Facebook, at a shorter length. So those are 2 good ones. And it's changing. I know people have tried using like Pinterest before. I don't think there's a huge platform there, but I mean, you could get use out of that. Even some of the ones we don't think about as a social platform, but there's a couple apps out there like House and a couple of different ones like that you can look at. But I would say definitely focus on 2 or 3 at the most, and if you master those and you're consistent and you want to expand to another one, then by all means go for it. But those are a couple other ideas to think about.
Yeah, and I think so David put in the Q&A, I think he was talking about relocation. So David Sharon's here. He's the director of relocation up at ERA in Michigan. And again, to be thinking of relocation stuff too, with LinkedIn. I think that's what he was speaking to. Throw in the chat if I'm wrong, please, David. But thinking about kind of your business as a whole and where you get everything, and not just one channel of business, as I like to call it. You guys have your channels of business that you get. So you're on the spot, Shannon. Great. Okay. So you guys have. I always talk to agents in the beginning when I used to recruit. I would speak to new agents about your channels of business. So think that you will have 6 or 7 really good channels of business, and social media should be one of them. But then what kind of clients do you get from social media? So your referral business should be a huge part of that, because you're selecting your friends, your family, your past clients, and then it's reaching out from there, right? So the rule of thumb, right, is your one client should get you 5 pieces of business, right? And then it keeps spreading out from there. So your social media, you can do that, big. And then, so LinkedIn should be a piece where you should be able to get that relocation business, because relocation should be a piece of your business. So again, you guys have these layers, and social media should help you hit every layer of your business. But totally, if you are like, I can't even think, social media makes me, my skin crawl, but I know I need to do it. Facebook should be number 1, and you should try to focus on doing it well. And we're talking about 3 to 4 posts a week, guys. It should be number 1 to focus on, and Facebook should be number 1 because your sellers from NAR have a median age of 57. Okay, that's from the last year's NAR report. And your Facebook users in the US, their average age is 50 to 64. So your listings are on Facebook for sure. Not that you're not going to get them from other platforms, but that is your number 1 go-to. So do Facebook really well if you're going to pick one, and then you add Instagram, and then you go from there. So in your Instagram, your buyers are there. There's your younger demographics. But your buyers are on Facebook as well, as their median age is 41, sorry. And then your first time home median age is 31. So just again, that's why I love to dive into that report to get these statistics to help you utilize the tools that you have, and utilize them well, because you guys wear many hats, right? You're trying to be the salesperson, be the problem solver, be a transaction coordinator, be all of these things. And how can you do it all really well? When you need to, when you've got to be a marketer, and you got to get your own business in, and you got to get leads in, and really there's some tools and some things to kind of do it, and you got to think about all of it.
And Shannon, talking about like 3 to 4 posts a week, I think that's good to talk about. I know at some of the conferences and different things out there, they tell you should be posting 3 to 5 times a day and different things like that. So you want to Twitter, you got to post like 15, 16 times a day to be relevant. And I think in this area, I think we all kind of, Twitter's not, if you're East and West Coast, you'd better be on Twitter, but we're Midwest. Yeah. We don't have to be on Twitter. You can be, and it's great, but. And if you post too much, so now if you build up and you have a content library and it's all very well received, then you can bump those numbers up by all means. But to start off with, 3 to 4 posts a week is great, and that way you're not overwhelming your newsfeed either. Because how many times have you seen it to where you're scrolling through Facebook and you have that business that you follow that just posted 40 times in one day? First thing you do is go up and unfollow them, and that's what you don't want. You want to keep them following you, so they're getting some. You're getting that brand awareness there, but you're not overwhelming them to where it's annoying at that point. So as you get more and more content, you might see those numbers jump up, and as long as you're still seeing success, then keep going. That's great, but just a starting point, it's a good point to talk about. So to kind of talk about the content side, so that other 90% of people that are not at that buying or selling phase, how do you get them to your page and keep them on your page or on your social media platforms, there's really 3 legs to that. So I call it the 3 E's. It's educate, entertain, and spark engagement. And so you want to be adding some kind of value to your followers. So this first section here is educate. So if you have one thing that we like to talk about, and in this example, it kind of shows, is they ask, you answer. So as you get questions throughout the day, write them down and keep kind of a log of those questions. Because if one person asks it, there's several others out there that have that same question that just haven't been vocal about it. And, you know, a good way to do that is just turn your cell phone camera on yourself and take, you know, less than a minute to talk about that question. You know, just introduce it saying, I get this question a lot and I wanted to give you guys a little bit more information on this. This example here with Sandy that you're seeing, it was a video that she did on just really the home buying process, on what the cost was to have an agent. And she got a question from eventually a client they became, that they were afraid to enter the home buying process. They wanted to buy a house, but they thought it was the unknown. They didn't know what they were going to have to put down up front. They didn't know what the cost was, you know, things like that. So she did a quick video just saying, you know, how the commissions break down and how they're paid, and, you know, without giving too much detail, but she actually got a lot of good feedback from that. And people had no idea that's how it worked if they've never bought a house before. You know, they came to it like it's almost like a lawyer, to where they're paying a retainer, and they were afraid to take that step. So it was good information. You'd be surprised what people don't know out there and what they're afraid to ask, because they just had no idea what the answer is out there. So,
yeah, and I think there's a lot of, you know, I know a lot of the agents that are, you know, on this webinar right now. I think you guys, how many times have you been frustrated just by some of that where, you know, some buyers still thought they had to bring 20% down, you know, and you're like, oh, these guys don't know this stuff. And there's a lot of people out there that don't know. How many first-time home buyers, you know, just don't know this kind of stuff. And this is, you know, whip the phone around, answer some questions and put it out. The biggest thing is the fear of getting over your face on camera. And I think maybe something that's happening right now is that we're all getting over being on camera because we're on all these Zoom meetings. But this is so valuable, and this stuff is really, when you're educating, it's really important to do this. So,
and there's a time and place for the production and style videos. So don't get me wrong, but, you know, it doesn't all have to be, you know, this nice pristine video with all these finishing touches, things like that. Sometimes just showing yourself on camera, you know, a cell phone camera, it's raw enough that they buy into it because they know it's you. They know they're not being marketed to. You're just talking to them. You're giving them good information. You know, this is one example, but I mean, it could be anything. You know, maybe talking about how the entire process works. Maybe talking about, you know, take your camera out during a home inspection and kind of follow the inspector around if he's up for it, and kind of let them know how that process works, so that that's something that they're aware of when they get to that point. And then the plus there is you could also tag the other business, so like the home inspector or something like that. And then you're kind of reaching 2 different audiences. So that's always a plus too. So that's a good way to think of that.
Absolutely. Why don't you just give that little rule of thumb for hashtags that you gave yesterday? I thought that was kind of nice. I think people, you know, we're kind of finally to the point where we get hashtags, but, you know, they don't know how many to use on each, you know, the platforms.
Yeah, it was a good question we got yesterday. There was somebody that just really didn't know how to use hashtags or the best way to use them. And so it definitely depends on the platform that you're using. You know, Instagram, Twitter, they're built around hashtags. So that's a little bit more free at that point. Biggest question we usually get is like Facebook. How do I, you know, what do I use? How many do I use? Things like that. It's really tough on Facebook because I'd say you want to max it out at maybe 3 on Facebook. And a big part of that is the algorithm on Facebook favors posts that have copy typically between 40 and 80 characters. So if you do 3 hashtags, you're using up a huge chunk of that 40 to 80 characters already. So you want to be careful with that. But Shannon and I talked yesterday that the hashtag really is driving search on social media. And so, the nice thing is keep those hashtags relevant to what you're promoting. So if you have something to do with your brand, like this example is Your Lima Realtor, that's what Sandy's known as here locally. And so if somebody searches that, of course it will pop up, but even just Lima Realtor, she's going to pop up in those searches because she's hitting those keywords. And then her name and Lima Real Estate. So keep it relevant to what you're posting out there. And if it's content, so if it's something out, if you're posting, say, an article about a DIY project or something like that, don't be afraid to go off topic. That article has nothing to do with real estate. So if you want to use hashtags, then do hashtag DIY. That's actually favored by social media because it's not showing a discrepancy between the material and the hashtag. So don't always feel like those need to be canned into your brand. You definitely want to make it relevant to the material there. And then Instagram's a little bit different. So there, I'd say you can bump up to 5 to 7 hashtags. We see those people that are putting 50, 60 hashtags on a post, and it can actually hurt you because that's one even more so than Facebook. If those hashtags, if you're just throwing out everything to see what sticks, then it can actually hurt you in the long run because Instagram will kind of publish that, or punish that, I should say, with their algorithm, through Instagram on who's seeing that post. So be careful of that. Definitely, I think it's good to use. And Facebook, people are back and forth whether to use them at all, but there is some benefit there for the search. If you are going to use them, keep it to 2 or 3.
Yes, absolutely. I thought that was a great question yesterday. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I think we're all always wondering, how many hashtags should I put with this? So
yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, this is great. This is my favorite video.
So to kind of move to the next section here, so entertain, just keep that in mind as you're through your day-to-day life. What can you post that would be entertaining to other people? Again, it doesn't have to be a production piece or anything like that. Be raw, be real with your audience. They actually prefer to see that in a lot of cases because then they connect to you as a person and as a brand. Then people can tell when they're being marketed to, and sometimes it instantly shuts a switch off in their brain when they see that. So if it feels more real, they might be more apt to follow you and follow that post anyways. This is a great example from an agent in Columbus. And so to give you a backstory, he does a Facebook Live every week and just talks about the market, and he has a great following with it. Well, he was finishing up this week actually, and he posted this video as a follow-up, and he said as he was finishing up his video, he heard someone breaking into the house. And so we'll kind of show this to you.
I laugh hard every time I watch it. And then come to rescue.
It's the simplest video, and it was just perfect timing with everything. But I mean, you can see they're in the middle of remodeling their house. There's stuff everywhere. It's just on his cell phone. It's just really raw. So some people are afraid to post that kind of stuff, but that's what people want to see. I mean, you're really connecting. We always say people buy from people they like and trust. And so this is a way to get you in front of those people. In this example, he posted that, and within a couple hours, he was just bombarded with engagement, with likes and shares and comments. People love seeing that type of stuff.
And the key word there is shares, guys. You guys want to post stuff that people share, because that's how you can get more followers. That is what you want. Again, you expand that sphere, right? And you get more people following your page to see your stuff. And then when they engage, which Steve's going to get to next, that is where you're going to really, how do we drive people to the customer pool, right? How do we make that process get up? How do you take that 90% and get it up into that 10%. This is all a part of that process. So I love this video. I think it's fantastic. And his copy was really great. His copy also grabbed attention, right? Like, just finished up and heard somebody breaking into my house. Well, who isn't going to want to like watch that? Then he had just such a great lead up into that. Like, we're hanging on, we're waiting on the seat of our pants to see who's breaking into his house here. So.
And this section for entertainment, this is huge, because I think this is probably the strongest, of the three as far as what people will interact with. One of the two, I guess I should say. But don't feel like you have to keep this in a box with real estate either. Anything that is custom, that fits your brand. We have a lot of agents that we work with that do volunteer work at pet shelters, or they go out and we have one that's, I talked to that's in a band. And so they mix that in with their real estate brand, and people just connect to it more because it's a person at that point that they like and that they want to do business with, versus a stuffy brand that they don't have any relation with. So you want to balance those out and keep the professionalism, but also find a way to keep them involved and entertain them a little bit. And so this is just another example. With any content that you post, focus on sparking engagement. So an easy way to do that is leave an open-ended question or something for them to answer. And this is a good example. Actually close to the Dayton market with B here. So she posted, we had this post done for basically taking 2 images from 2 of her listings and saying, which do you prefer? And doing something like this, maybe you do a game room versus a outdoor fire pit area, patio, something like that. Saying, if you had to choose one, which would you choose? And, it's very simple, but people naturally, as they scroll through, they want to engage with that. They want to throw out their opinion and put out their thoughts and whatnot, vote on it, different things like that. You can get creative with this. You could put, different, like the reactions, like love, things like that, and say, use the emojis to vote for your favorite, image or something along those lines. Biggest thing is just leave it open-ended and ask for the engagement. So people will be more apt to do that when you just come out and ask for it. Think of it as a sale, ask for the closing. Another good way to do this, people like telling everybody who their guy is. So kind of a double benefit for this is with your homeowners, post out on your page saying, who are your favorite painters in the Dayton area? And everybody has their person that they work with, or that they, their cousin that's in the business or something along those lines. So they're very quick to throw that out there. Plus it turns it into a resource for your homeowners as they move in, to where they can go through and say, look how many people recommended this person. And, this is a good source of information. So another creative way to get some stuff out there to really drive that engagement up.
Yeah. And then the most important thing is they are commenting and engaging. You guys need to engage back with them. So don't feel like you have to do it immediately. Once a day, check and just make sure you've engaged back with people that have engaged on your post. But those are your fans, guys, and they want to hear from you, and they feel good when they hear from you. So they get all excited, David commented back to me, I feel good. And that sounds crazy, but that's how it is. And so it's really important that you comment back. And then when you do that, they're going to feel more engaged with you and comment more on things that you post and stay following and stay in. And most importantly, feel like they can refer you, which is the entire goal of this entire process. So very important is to comment back with them.
Absolutely. And then just to kind of show you guys some ideas for tools that that I use and I recommend out there too. So for graphics, creating any kind of content out there with graphics, I think everybody's probably heard of Canva at this point. It's been around for a little while, and it's really blew up after the last few years. Everybody's using it, it seems like. But it still remains one of the best tools. If you're doing any kind of graphics, or you're just wanting to make a simple graphic for social media, something along those lines, it's very easy to use. They have a free version and a paid version. And you don't have to have any design experience. They have templates out there that you can customize. The one thing with templates I would say is don't use a template and put your name in it and post it. You want to change it a little bit, because you're starting to see with so many people using Canva, I can look through timelines and I can say, well, that's a Canva template that they just changed. So you do want to customize it a little bit, use it as a reference point and a kind of a guide, but put your own style on it. Animoto is another good one for video. So if you're wanting to incorporate more video onto your social media, that's a good tool to kind of create short little content videos out there, as far as like graphics and different things like that. Could be good for ads. If you're doing ads, you can have moving, parts in the background and your text and whatnot. Canva's really jumped up in the video too, so don't disregard that as a good video tool, but that's just another suggestion out there. When it comes to video though, I would say put yourself on camera, or put your surroundings on camera at the very least. Take out your cell phone, record those videos and do that, because you'll get more out of that than you would with any content video like you're going to create on Canva. So something to think about there too. And then Piktochart, that's one that I don't hear about much, but if you're trying to educate or get information out to your audience, that is a good one to use for like infographics. So if you're wanting to show maybe like the home buying process, the whole cycle or something along those lines, you can use that program. Again, they have free and paid version, but they make it very easy to put those infographics together. Content. So moving to that, some suggestions here. National Today, there's several of these out there, but that's one that I refer to a lot. It's basically a database. You choose your date and it will tell you all the national holidays on that date. So when you look at it, yesterday was Earth Day, so that would have been on there. But you have the one-off holidays too that no one's even heard of, National Pretzel Day, National whatever you want to think of, there's a day for it. You could take that, look at that calendar and kind of find ones that are either relevant to you as a brand. Again, think of, if you're very involved in, say, a dog shelter or something like that, they have National Pet Lovers Day. They have different things like that you can incorporate into your brand. So that's a good reference point as well. Flipboard, I'm not sure if it's used as often as it used to be, but I still love it. It's one that you can go on the website, or they have an app for the phone. You go in and create your cards more or less. So just put in whatever categories that you want to kind of follow. So it could be like home ownership, DIY projects, anything you could think of, any category. And it basically funnels content or articles from the internet into those categories. And so you can kind of go through and find the ones that you like and that you want to share out there. Balance that out a little bit, of course. We saw the links, kind of what the reach and the engagement was. I would say it's not a bad idea if you're going to put article out there, put a twist on it. Maybe it's in the copy, ask if it's a list of 10 DIY projects, put in your copy that, which one's your favorite or something like that. And give them a chance to respond to that. Otherwise, you'll get some engagement from them clicking on it, which is good, but you always want to drive more. So that's another thought there. And then we do have our content calendar. I'm not sure if anybody on the call is getting that, but it's a free content calendar we put together every month. It kind of highlights some of those national holidays, or the actual holidays on the calendar, and then it gives you idea for a posting every day. Now, what Shannon said before, 3 to 4, to start off with is great. Don't feel like you have to post every day or multiple times a day at this point, but it does give you a good breakdown and some suggestions on kind of what to post. Some of it's what we talked about today, and there's some other ideas on there as well.
Yes, so if you guys aren't signed up for this calendar, we can get you signed up. So it's no problem, just throw in the chat, kind of, say, please, calendar, please. And we already have your emails and we can get you guys signed up. So just throw that in the chat. It's just a free calendar that we put out. We also, if you like our Facebook page, we post that out as well, right? I think on
Yep,
that
we do.
every month. So for sure. Yeah. And if you don't follow our Facebook page, make sure you follow our Facebook page, as we put a lot of great content out there. Great. Yes. Everybody just throw that in there and we will add it. For sure, because it is a great resource for you guys. We had a great question from Missy, one of our clients, and I think this is actually a perfect question that ties right into posting their listings. So if you are a customer of ours and you receive their link to their media, she said she just automatically posts the postcard page. She shares, does the Facebook share off the postcard page, and she just shares it. So she's sharing the link to Facebook, from the media that we give her. So let's maybe just quickly show them that they do want to upload the video, as they receive the video from us, and they can download that video. So if you scroll up a little bit, you would have seen her question. So yes, absolutely, Connie and Deanna. So that was Missy's question. So did you see it, Steve, in there?
Yes, I did. So yeah, when you do that Facebook share, and I kind of flip back to this screen to kind of show you the difference here, you're basically sharing that link with Facebook. And so you're going to fall into this category here for the middle section, the link. Whereas if you download the video and then post it to Facebook, you're going to get in that top category. So that's the big difference. Definitely recommend the video. And honestly, so let's say you want to mix it up, and I don't think that's always a bad idea. Maybe as a follow-up, you do one with a video, and then maybe you do a photo follow-up or something like that. You can definitely use photo too. Video is going to get the higher engagement, but out of the two, photo and video by far over link as far as engagement. You'll get a lot better results from it.
Yes. So Missy, if you don't know how to use all of your links, what we can do is set up a separate call with your account manager to go over how to use all those. Because, and any of you guys, if you don't know how to use all your links with us, please let us know, because we do give you a lot to use. And it's really important that you know how to use everything, because you do get the video to download and everything to actually download to then upload to Facebook, whether it's just the regular walkthrough video or your social media cuts if you ordered those with us. So your branded videos, because we have those as well. So just make sure that, again, Missy, we can follow up with you right after this call so that we can make sure you know how to do all that so that you can get the most engagement out of your products with us, because we want to make sure all of you guys know how to do that for sure. It's also important that you are posting the right link into the MLS. That's kind of another thing we've kind of picked up on too, and making sure you guys have the right thing in the MLS. So yeah, there's kind of a lot to all of this, but once we get the workflow, it's pretty simple. And we also help manage your guys' social medias. That's what this comes from. And if you want to learn more about that, we can help you. We really wanted to focus just on social media and branding today. And we're not here to sell you, but just to let you know that it's a service we do offer, because that is something new within the last eight months that we've kind of pushed into, as we just want to be able to be your marketing provider and just help you guys. Just really help you guys get more business. That's our goal. We want to partner together and help you guys do more and win more listings. So any other questions you guys have? I think we were kind of wrapping up with that slide. Steve, did you have anything else to add?
No, I just wanted to reference back to that as regarding that question that we got, but we did get another question regarding the Facebook page to follow. I'm sorry. So if you just go to facebook.com/Wow Video Tours, or just search Wow Video Tours, that's our page. And we'll send a follow-up with all that information for everybody too, so you all have that. And then see all the requests here for the calendar, so that's great. We'll get that out to everybody.
Oh, thank you, Jill. Yeah, thank you guys for all your awesome comments. Listen, again, I think the majority of you are clients, and we appreciate you so much. We appreciate the ability that Ohio's given us to be able to service you throughout this time. And we hope that we're trying to take care of you as best as we can. And, please put your orders in as soon as possible, right now, as you know, we are experiencing a little bit of delayed lead time, just as you guys are still staying very busy. So kudos to you for all of that. That has been awesome. So just as soon as you know you're going to get a listing, just at least get that order in and maybe save your spot. And if you have to move it, that's okay. So just definitely get your orders in. We appreciate you guys so much. We couldn't do all of this without you. So thank you so much. And I'll pass it off to Steve for a goodbye. I think Cheryl put her thank you for everybody attending. Oh, did you unmute Cheryl? Cheryl's good. So she'll say her goodbyes too after Steve.
And just, you know, I see all the comments coming in. Let everybody know, I mean, we're open to doing anything that helps you out. So let us know any topics. You know, I know we got some feedback earlier about the ads and
The ads,
digging
yeah,
deeper
we're
into
going to work that, yeah.
But honestly, even if you're, you know, at a level to where you're just now getting around to using social media, or you have some just concerns about getting involved in that, let us know what your thoughts are, and we'll put together a webinar for whatever level you're at or whatever specific topic you're wanting to cover, and make sure we get the best use out of it for you. But I do thank everybody for joining, because it was a great turnout, and it looks like you know, you guys got a lot of value out of it, so we appreciate that too. That's what our goal was. So I'll pass it on to Cheryl.
Well, thank you everyone for attending. Like I said, I'm here for you. Answer any questions, help you and your business grow. So if you want to reach out to me directly, that's what I'm here for. So I left my information on earlier, right when we started this webinar. If there's anybody that didn't get it, I can post it again. Just let me know through chat and I'll be happy to put it back in there again. But most of you I have been able to meet with, and I look forward to meeting with you more again when we can get face-to-face.
Can't wait for all that. You put a sales girl at home? That's not right. All right, guys. Have a great weekend. We appreciate you. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
No,
cut
you're
you
fine.
off.
I was just going to say thank you, everyone.
Yep.